All right, what's happening, everybody? It's time for part 3 of the look at all of our characters in Lego Batman 3. And thanks for sticking with me on part 2 at the end. I'll be honest with you guys, I was fading out hard, and I think the last 5 minutes kind of show. I made a few mistakes. I almost didn't upload it, I almost remade it, but alas, here we are, and we're just going to go ahead and chug along. So thanks for bearing with me there. It had been a long day. I don't want to take up too much time explaining things, so let's get going. We left off with Hawkman and Hawkwoman, which, by the way, are married, from now until forever. One of them will die, and the other will follow. So, yeah, I missed the opportunity to really tell a bit of their backstory, but I digress. Next up, we have Heatwave. And Heatwave is basically a less cool version of Firefly. He is a member of the Rogues, has been primarily, he's always been like an adversary of the Flash. He's like the counter to Captain Cold, Captain Cold and Heatwave, Captain Boomerang, who's not in the game. A lot of other, Rogue characters, Mirror Master, stuff like that. So, he does all the fiery stuff that Firefly does, just without the double guns and the ability to fly. So, does some melee stuff. He's a cool looking character. He looks kind of like Cyclopsy if Cyclops decided to go all white. But, I don't really use him very often. If you are like a Flash fan and you're a fan of like, his enemies and stuff, you'll probably want to use him. But for me, Firefly is much cooler. Aesthetically and in what he does, so I go with him. Next up is one of the biggest baddies in Batman history. It is Hush. Brought Batman to his knees. Hush has double guns for range attack. He also has detective vision, and he's an acrobat, so he can do some double jumps. He can do the wall bounces and stuff like that. Definitely a fairly cool character. Animations for both of these guys are very lacking. They just kind of look back and forth. So yeah, there's Hush. Next up, we have Indigo 1, who is the leader of the Indigo tribe, the Indigo Lanterns. She does all the lantern stuff. Sorry, I had a sneeze coming on. She does all the lanterny stuff. She can fly. I want to get back to the brighter area. We are on her home planet. Well, not her home planet, but on the home world of the Indigo Lanterns, Nock. Nock used to be like a prison territory, and most of the Indigo Lanterns are former prisoners, and the indigo light gives compassion, so they're not really feeling much compassion in the game because they're being Brainiac mind controlled, I believe. So, yeah, Nock, and shoutouts to DJ Chrome, who's flying to Japan for the next 3 years today. Have a safe flight, bro. Anyway, the Indigo Lanterns, famously had Jon Stewart during the Darkest Night, or Lantern Wars, I believe. So Jon Stewart, like when he was an Indigo Lantern, he had like camouflage pants and a bandana. It was pretty awesome. So anyway, like I said, she doesn't really do anything different from all of the other lanterns. All the same stuff, except she actually does have a staff. So when she goes into the melee combat, she uses the staff. So pretty cool. If you're a fan of that, faction of the Lanterns, you'll probably enjoy playing with her. Next up, we have her Indigo Tribe Warrior. Just basically your fodder kind of character that you have to fight. No particular reason why they are kind of like an insectoid-looking creature. The Indigo Lanterns that were all prisoners were all sorts of different races and species. So I think they just did this one because it looks kind of cool. It would have been cool if their heads could have just kind of randomly switched over and over, but I don't know, like coding wise, what that would take. So I don't want to spend too much time on this one. Moving on. Speaking of John Stewart, one of the cooler Green Lanterns there is. So I'm bummed out a little bit that Guy Gardner's not in here, but I get it. This is why I really think the game should be called, Lego DC Superheroes, just because I feel like they tried too hard to get a lot of Batman characters in here, and I get it. They're trying to take advantage of the Batman license, which Batman I feel like sells more to the uninformed than DC superheroes. But I digress. I am happy that they went with John Stewart though. It gives a little bit of diversity in your lanterns. John Stewart's a former Marine, I believe. He's former military. So he, I don't remember which planet he's responsible for blowing up, but he feels responsible for blowing up a planet. I want to say it's whatever planet Fatality is from. He feels responsible for destroying it. And it was one of those things where you kind of had to. I'm totally like, the story is fantastic, I'm sure, but I like John Stewart a lot. Long story short, again, like Indigo One, not anything specific that he does compared to any of the other lanterns. Would have been cool if they had like a variant of his character as an Indigo lantern. I think he had another lantern ring at one point too. I don't remember which one it was, but it was during Darkest Night. Anyway, moving forward, we have the Joker of 1966. So yeah, he's got his little mustache, which is kind of cool. He's got his little hand buzzer, so and he shoots out of the hand buzzer, which is pretty cool. It's like he's Emperor Palpatine here. Definitely a cool look. I don't believe he does a whole heck of a lot else. There's lots of Joker characters in here, but when you're standing, when you're using him, my controller is like pulsating. My Xbox One controller, which is kind of a cool kind of touch. So there we go, the Joker 1966. The Joker in Batman disguise, which is fairly fantastic. So one of the story is kind of hit or miss for me in general for this game. I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. It's not what I would have personally went with, but it makes sense. And one of the cool things of it is that you've got a lot of these characters in disguise. I'm not going to spoil the story at all, but seeing Batman walk around so flamboyantly, shooting his little pistol is pretty cool. Even though it's not Batman, it's Joker. So yeah, Batman with a bow tie. The Batman and Joker disguise, obviously he had his Batman logo as his bow tie, so nice little touch. Next we have the 3 Joker goons. We've got the Mime and we've got the Clown. So there's the Clown, there's the Mime, and if you look at the back of them, they have Joker jackets. And then we have one last one, which is the Space Henchman. And he's kind of floaty, and his jetpack has the Joker on it. So these are obviously just little minions that you fight. If you kind of look through the helmet a little bit, you can see he has face paint. These are some of the minions that you're going to fight. They don't do anything, too ridiculous. You probably won't actually play as them very much because, unless you do that, everybody likes to switch things up and try to have fun. So, not a character that I use very often, but he's there. Let's go ahead and pull up the next 2, keep things going. Here we are. We have, that was Kevin Smith. Next up is Calabac, one of the sons of Darkseid, who is not in the game. I think I've complained about that quite enough. Shout out again to DJ Chrome. So, yeah, man, him and his brother Orion are in the game. Part of the New Gods. He's basically a big fig. I mean, he doesn't really do anything that stands out too much. You know, no flight or anything like that. I don't know if he's supposed to fly, but you know, he's a cool-looking character. I think they definitely hit the mark with how he looks. Kevin Smith, you know, of movie fame. He was Fat Man. Or he calls himself Fat Man anyway. Dresses up kind of like Batman as Bob from Jay and Silent Bob. He's also part of the Blunt Man and Chronic duo. Would have been awesome if they included them, but I'm sure they don't have the license for it. Wearing a New York Islanders jersey without the logo. I'm assuming that's what it's supposed to be. I suppose it could be an Edmonton Oilers jersey too. So I probably should retract that. He has his own custom bearded like lock-on. He does sonic sonar damage through his megaphone, so he can shatter glass. Definitely a cool aspect. He's a quest giver for the most part, and you know, as much as I'm disappointed that there are a lot of DC characters that didn't make it, this is one character that I'm okay with them sliding in. Next up, we have Kid Flash, who, you know, there's a lot of different versions of Kid Flash. Bart Allen, Wally West. I think this is supposed to be Bart Allen. I mean, I guess you guys can definitely fill me in if I'm missing something, but I believe he's also part of Young Justice. Not the Teen Titans, but Young Justice. I don't really follow either Teen Titans or Young Justice, but he's basically the Flash with hair. He does a lot of the speed damage, so, or all the speedy kind of things. And I believe his lock-on should be similar to the Flash's, where he runs and he attacks the stuff. So there you go. If you're a fan, he is in the game, and pretty cool. Next up, we have Killer Moth, who I don't understand. I mean, I always thought he was kind of like a joke character, but you know, I suppose he is a little serious. So I know a lot of you guys that were watching the videos as I was uploading them were like begging me to post him. So you know, he flies, he shoots a gun, he does not do anything laser related, so he's not as useful as maybe some other characters are. But if you enjoy Killer Moth, you'll definitely enjoy playing as him. He looks really cool. Moving right along, another Green Lantern, and this is why I understand why Guy Gardner doesn't make it. Kilowog. He is the trainer of the Green Lanterns. Definitely, you know, one of the more famous Green Lanterns out there. I think they did a really good job with his character model. He doesn't say much. He just kind of stands there and huffs and puffs and all that stuff. So he does flight, which is pretty cool. Having big figures that will big figures that fly is definitely kind of like a new thing for the Lego franchise. God, I'm like totally like blanking as to what he calls like rookies. He has like a catchphrase, and I'm totally blanking it on it. So Poozer, he calls everybody Poozers. So yeah, There's Kilowog. Otherwise, he does all the same lantern stuff. He shoots the boxing gloves. He shoots the energy. And if you find like a lantern pad, he'll... Actually, the big figure lanterns do not do the lantern pads. So Atrocitus doesn't either. So there you go. There's Kilowog. Next up, we have Crypto the Super Dog. And there is an achievement for taking Crypto into the DLC. I'll do that in a different video. So, the difference between Crypto and Ace the Bat Hound is at least Crypto can fly. He's a fun character, I get it. And I'm all about being serious and having, serious characters like, Darkseid and, Raven and Starfire and the litany of other characters, Guy Gardner, that are not in the game, over the kind of fun ones. And at its core, this game is definitely a bit of a kid's game. Anybody can play it, but I get where they're going with it, so I'm not going to be too hard on him. I will say at least he does fly, and he shoots lasers, so he can shoot and destroy gold statues, so there is some usefulness to him. So I'll at least give him that as compared to Ace. Ace and the Bat Cow are kind of useless, but... Anyway, the White Lantern, Kyle Rayner. This is pretty awesome, man. They managed to get one of every lantern in. There have not been too many White Lanterns. There are a bunch that kind of came back to life that wore the White Lantern rings. But Kyle Rayner, as part of the New Guardians storyline, has become the White Lantern. Sinestro and Hal Jordan had to become White Lanterns as well. So let's see. So the White Lantern is basically how right at the end of Darkest Night. I mean the story's been out for a while now, so if you haven't read it yet, sorry, skip ahead. At the end of Darkest Night, Hal Jordan and Sinestro had died so that they could be resurrected as Black Lanterns, and they severed the connection, for a lot of the Black Lanterns that had been dead, and they kind of were deputized in a way as White Lanterns. So like Superman and Wonder Woman and Kid Flash and the regular Flash, like Green Arrow. I'm trying to remember who else. There's a bunch of them, like Donna Troy. Yeah, there's a bunch of them, and then there were a lot of characters afterwards that came back to life. Like I remember, Professor Zoom and Hawkman, and Aquaman was dead for a while. Firestorm, Deadman, Martian Manhunter. So. Yeah, man, lots of characters came back to life after that. That was really one of the best storylines ever. That's really what started turning me from Marvel Comics to DC, and it's been a little bit of struggle since then, but to kind of go back. But Kyle Rayner and the New Guardians basically had to unite all the lanterns, and it brought some of like the kind of background characters to the front. Like I know, like Bleeze was part of the New Guardians, stuff like that. They did have the New Guardians after all and I don't know. They're like basically their new entities, like Parasite and the Butcher and stuff like that. So whatever. I'm spending a lot of time on Kyle Rayner. I could talk about that forever. Next up, we have the Orange Lantern, Larfleeze, and I use Larfleeze a lot. He reminds me a little bit of Golem from Lord of the Rings. The Precious, yes. He's got his ring, and he treats it like the Precious. So Larfleeze is the only Orange Lantern. I mean, I know Lex Luthor has been an Orange Lantern, like when they had to deputize some guys, but, orange light is the light of avarice, which is greed, which is why he's the only Orange Lantern, because it's just him. When he found the orange light, he was like a miner or like a prospector, something like that, I believe. He was digging with a bunch of people, and I think he killed them all off because of the greed took over. That's the story of Agent Orange, which I haven't read in a while, but he's a bit of a dog, I guess. So for him, his constructs, he does have Orange Lantern constructs in this game, but his constructs in general used to be real people or beings, and he's basically absorbed them with the orange light. So yeah, he does all the lantern type stuff in the game. I sometimes forget that I'm not storytelling as much as I am showing you guys all the characters, but I hope you enjoy the storytelling too. So yeah, he absorbs different characters with his light. As far as the game goes, he does all the same things all the other lanterns do. And that is Larfleeze. Moving right along, we have a Lexbot. The Lexbot does fly, so he has that going over for him over some of the other minions. He shoots stuff, and that is about it. It's a cool character model. I mean, definitely a cool looking character. You might play as him. I don't know. I certainly am not going to. No. He's shaking his head no. But it's one of the filler characters that they add into the game, so totally understandable. Next, we have some more disguise characters. We have Lex Luthor as both Wonder Woman and Hawkman. So there he is, looking smexy, smexy Lexi as Wonder Woman. He still has his gun. Makes sense when you look at the story. Then you have Hawkman. He does not fly, and he does not have a mace. Hawkman is like barely in the story, but he's in it just long enough to get put in a cage by Lex Luthor, and that's how he breaks into the Hall of Justice. So, and ultimately the Watchtower. So those are the two costume models. They're in the game because obviously you play as them during the campaign, but I digress. We're gonna move on to the next two. We'll start with Mad Hatter for a second here, because he's there. This is definitely a traditional Batman character. I love that he throws cards. Yeah, he's just your traditional Batman character. He bounces around. He does melee attacks. I understand his inclusion. It all makes quite a bit of sense. So yeah, there we go. Mad Hatter. So here we go, Lobo. I kind of skipped over to Lobo because Lobo is probably DC's Wolverine. He does a little spin attack move here. What I love about Lobo is he's got this rapid fire attack. So when I go somewhere I just want to break a lot of studs, I bust out Lobo, and he gets the job done. One of the first characters I went after. He's kind of a badass, man. Like, look at the skulls on his pants, stuff like that. The crazy Kazarnian. So it'd be awesome if he had his dog with him. I don't remember what his dog is called. Anyway. It would even be more awesome if he had his motorcycle that flies. That would help him fly. And it'd be even more awesome if they put that vehicle in the game as like a vehicle you could use. I think they did a really good job with Lobo otherwise, though. I know there's a little controversy with him right now because they're trying to change his background. He does have a healing factor, like Wolverine. I believe he's like a bounty hunter. So he's been kind of reimagined as like a slim kind of character. So yeah, I'm not a bounty hunter. He's a slaver too. So, you know, I have that issue. I haven't really followed it much since, and I probably should. I know that they just relaunched his book in October, so I should probably start picking that up. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in Lobo. What do you guys think if you are following the changes that they have made to Lobo? I just remember there being a lot of controversy around it. So, in any way, actually, you know what? I'm just remembering his appearance in Brightest Day. He was, I think he was working with Atrocitus, or he was trying to like capture a bounty on Atrocitus, and he actually has a Red Lantern ring from that story. It would have been awesome to see him as an actual Red Lantern, but you know, once you go Red Lantern, you can't really go back unless you're Hal Jordan. So, in any event, let's move on because there's still a lot of characters to go. Next up, we have Man-Bat, who is the opposite of Batman. He is the actual man that is a bat, which is why he's Man-Bat, not Batman. So, you'll find some use in him. Definitely a character you can use a little bit because he flies, and he also has the Sonic Scream, so he can shatter glass. So if you're looking for a useful character, this would definitely be one of them, because he can both fly and shatter glass. I like to keep characters that are kind of multi-dimensional, and flight, like I said, is kind of like a big one for me. So we'll go ahead and carry on. Next up, we have Manchester Black, who's got this kind of corporate Sex Pistols thing going on. Magic wielder. I think he's like a telepath. He also flies. I'm not really sure why Manchester Black made the game. The only thing I can think of is that it's a way for TT Games to kind of feature a character with their British roots, which is exactly why I think Union Jack was in Lego Marvel Superheroes. So, I mean, it makes sense. I'm not going to hate on it. He does this like kind of force bubble thing, which puts up the defensive. So, a cool character. And shout outs to TT Games. Next up we have Metallo, who has like kryptonite in his heart. Definitely a traditional Superman bad guy. Doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot here. He can shoot this energy projection, and he can lock onto stuff. But oh yeah, he does do laser. Okay, and he does it out of his chest, which is especially cool. So don't turn your back on me. So yeah. Cool looking character. You know, I'm familiar with him. Not really one of my favorites, but you know, definitely a cool character to include in the game. His face kind of looks like Taskmaster. So next up we have Miss Martian. Now I kind of know that I showed her on accident in the last video. Again, that was right towards the end where I was starting to fade a little bit. I just wanted to kind of mention the fact that yes, I did mention her in the last video, so I'm not going to do it again. Mr. Freeze, Victor Freeze. I cannot do the Arnold voice very well, and they have him doing the Arnold in the game. Yeah, that's the best I got, man. I'm definitely not my buddy Tack. My buddy Tack, part of the Team Wired crew, does the best Arnold voice. It's so cool. I unlocked him really late in the game. I would have used him much more. More than I ended up using Captain Cold the most whenever I needed like ice attacks, because as I mentioned in the first video, I forgot about Superman's like super breath. But honestly, Freeze, Mr. Freeze, and Captain Cold are a little bit more useful because you can actually direct their freeze blast. So you know, that's definitely a good reason to unlock both of them. fairly early in the game, and he's a traditional Batman character. You do have when you unlock, I want to say it's Plastic Man. He's on the Watchtower, and you have to. The Iceman cometh. So do the puns. When you're on the Watchtower, and I think it's when you unlock Plastic Man, you do a little battle with Mr. Freeze. It might be when you unlock Black Canary. It's one or the other. So, yeah, Mr. Freeze. All right. I'm going to let him say it. It's Gilbert Gottfried. Mr. Mixius Picklick! Yeah, so that guy. This guy is fantastic. I know that there's at least one person that commented in a video, like, the way you're supposed to pronounce this. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not even going to, like, butcher it. Like, Mr. Mix Pitlick. So, man, he actually gives you a bunch of quests throughout the game. He flies, crash and burns. I love the way, you can't really see it, but you can see the way he flies. He flies like he's laying down. I'm trying to zoom in on it the best I can. So, yeah, man, he is, having Gilbert Gottfried do his voice is quite the coup, and one of the best parts about this game. This is just a really fantastic character. And it's not a character I thought I would be excited about. He does shoot magic out of his hands. So, yeah, man. This is a fun character. I mean, this character right here personifies all the reasons why Lego games are fun. And also, he's probably, if it weren't for the fact that Gilbert Gottfried did his voice and the way that they made his character model, this is probably a character I would have been complaining about because he's kind of cheesy in a way. But when you throw in Gilbert Gottfried and you throw out all the fun little animations that he does, bravo, A+ effort, and much appreciated. So next up we have the Music Meister from Batman Brave and the Bold. Now again, this is a character I mentioned in his video that I would have generally complained about, and I'm not going to, because they really hit it out of the park with his animations, with his antics, what he does. And again, it's a Batman character. And it's a Batman character from a cartoon show that a lot of people watch and enjoy. And at the end of the day, this is where it's, we have to remember that it is a kid's kind of game. So animations are outstanding. I mean, how do you beat that? That is just so awesome. And when he's doing his energy blast, he's singing through his microphone. Whoever is responsible for this, high fives, man, high fives. You took a hater and you made him into an advocate. Because I was a hater. Music Meister, I was a hater. There's no two ways around it. I was going to be a hater. This was going to be one of the characters I complained about. And because you hit it out the park, these two characters are why you don't judge a book by their cover. These two characters right here are two characters. When I'm watching the announcements, I'm like, really? That guy? Where's Darkseid? Where's Darkseid? I just, yeah, But, when you get him in game, it makes sense. You see why TT wanted to have him in the game. It busted a move. So, yeah, there we go. Music Meister. All right, next up we have Nightwing. Darkwing. So this is Dick Grayson. Gives you a couple quests in the game. I believe Nightwing was a pre-order character, like part of DLC for Lego Batman 2. I might be wrong on that one, though. So he can throw his batons. He is an acrobat, obviously, with the whole circus background. So if you're a Nightwing fan, I think you'll appreciate it. He definitely looks really cool. So, He's made the switch to Grayson at this point, though. So, I don't know if somebody... I think somebody else already has taken up Nightwing. Next up, we have the Orange Lantern construct. I kind of already covered the concept behind the Orange Lantern constructs. I like the fact that they just made it like a blank, you know, entity, like a blank person. Because it's supposed to be kind of faceless, so... I don't want to spend too much time on the Orange Lantern construct. Next up, we have Orion, who a lot of people have corrected me on. That's not a chariot. It's Astro. It's like a harness, like a gun harness. I admitted ignorance when it comes to Orion. I know he's been around a long time. Part of the New Gods, son of Darkseid, brother of Calabac. All those things. So he's definitely a pretty cool character. He shoots the energy blasts. He's got his own little little animation for his crosshairs. So he flies. So he meets a lot of the you know, things that I look for in a character. So to use a lot. So I'll switch to him every so often, just because, you know, the way he flies does look really cool. So, next up we have Parasite, who is a big fig and an adversary of Superman. He has been a number of different characters, so or a number of different people. But one thing is for sure, he's a life force stealer. They definitely did a really good job of his animations. You know, when he starts walking, he kind of waves to and fro clumsily. And he looks like he's in a state of drunkenness. So, yeah, Parasite. No flight, but he does jump up and down and bounce. Throw a hissy fit. So, pretty cool looking Big Fig, man. Pretty cool looking. Next up, we have the Penguin. And there are two versions of the Penguin. You've got the 1966 version and the regular version. So both of them are identical in a lot of ways, just different skins. So I'm glad they didn't use up character spot. Obviously, he shoots out of his umbrella. He does not glide. It would be really cool if he glided with his umbrella. Not that there's many places to glide from, but yeah, this is your traditional Penguin. I'm watching Gotham, and the actor that's playing Cobblepot in Gotham is really, really cool. He does a really, really good job, and I feel like he's almost stealing the show. So it's becoming more about the story of how Cobblepot rose to fame than it is the story of Jim Gordon. So, anyways, let's move on to the next two characters. We have Platinum and Poison Ivy. So Platinum is part of the Metal Men. She is one of those characters like a Mr. Fantastic, like Plastic Man, that can go through grates and that kind of morphs a lot. I remember her as part of Crisis, the Crisis storyline, where, you know, there was Iron, Mercury, a couple other of the characters. They had to use them as armor, like Batman and Superman and Aquaman, a few others. They had to use them as armor, so... definitely, I was kind of like, really, Platinum is a character you're going with, but I think the fact that she can do the kind of body morphing is really a big reason behind it. So, if you watched part 2, you'll know that I said next up we have Poison Ivy, and I went back to Giganta. Sorry about that. One of the few errors that I made, and I realized after the fact, I'm like, whoa. I was totally ready for bed at that point. I probably shouldn't have made part 2, but, you know, I love you guys. I was trying to get this thing up there. You guys have been requesting it like literally since I put the game in my disc tray. So Poison Ivy, she has her whip. It would be interesting. I don't, I should look it up. I haven't used her this way, but I bet she does mind control. That would make a lot of sense. Let me see if I can find that answer for you guys. So, yeah, she does do mind control, and she does plant stuff. And as I was starting to say, you get an achievement for having both Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn is the one I couldn't think of. If you have both of them active, you get the achievement. So there it is, the new Queens of Crime. And yeah, I got that achievement during the game, so there we go. Next up, alright, Polka-Dot Man. So, I mean, at least they made the character fun. I mean, this is definitely one of the characters I've complained about a little bit. I believe he was mind-controlled by the Joker. He throws polka dots. He has his own little custom, little crosshair. No lasers. He does fly, which in my character video I missed out on. So he flies on a polka dot. I should say he surfs on it. I mean, it makes the character... it makes a stupid character almost usable. I still think it's a stupid character. I get what they were going for with it. Again, this is where we have to remember that it is ultimately a kid's game in a way. So, yeah. Pretty... I don't know. I don't want to give a compliment to this character. I just think it's a stupid character. But, the guys that made him at TT did a good job with it. I'm not going to be an advocate for this character, though. I still think he's stupid. That's just me, though. So let's stop wasting our time with him. Next up, we have the Question. Little Dick Tracy-looking character. Definitely a long time, character. He does his detective vision. I know, surprisingly, to me anyway, there were people that were like, yeah, man, I'm all about the Question in the video I did for him. So, no disrespect to them. I'm glad that you get a character that you enjoy. Not a direction I would have personally gone, but, I'm not going to complain about it too much. He doesn't really do a whole lot other than the detective vision and melee. But, there you go. That's the Question. Next up, we have the Reach Warrior, which is, these are like the enemies of the Blue Lanterns on Odom. These are the enemies that you fight there, so fortunately you don't have to actually fight Blue Lanterns because they're full of hope. Don't want to spend too much time on him. He's basically a cannon fodder. Next, we're going to go to the Red Lantern Warrior for the same reason. Now, this is definitely a really awesome character model. They flip out quite effectively, and hats off for this. Definitely a really cool character. So he does fly as well, which is different for like the fodder kind of characters. So yeah, there we go, the Red Lantern Warrior. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish up with Red Hood, Jason Todd. So I think a lot of people were excited about Red Hood. He's a cool character, don't get me wrong. I have a few graphic novels from his Red Hood and the Outlaws run. Would have been really nice if Starfire was in the game. And Arsenal, so that we could have Red Hood and the Outlaws. I suppose that once the Arrow DLC launches, you can use the Red Arrow as your Arsenal, because that's essentially who it is, Roy Harper. It won't be totally the same, but it'll work. So Red Hood, man, a former Robin, brought back from the dead. Through a Lazarus pit, I believe. or I don't remember. Did he ever really die? Um, I've really enjoyed his run in Red Hood and the Outlaws, so I was really excited when they announced him and excited to get my hands on him. But he doesn't really do too much, so, you know, not a character I ended up using as much unless I wanted to show off the fact that I was using Red Hood. Honestly, that's the only reason I ever used him in any of my videos. But if you haven't checked out Red Hood and the Outlaws, it's a great book. Probably the Batman kind of family book that I follow the most. So there you go, Red Hood and the Outlaws. So we are almost done. I should be able to bang out the rest of these in part 4. I don't want to do a part 5. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video now. And part 4 should be up in a few hours. If you're like sitting there waiting for it, it's probably going to take a few hours after this one hits. Alas, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the series so far. And we're going to go ahead and finish it up in part 4. We'll catch you later.